大家下午好啊，就听见了啊，都不需要麦克风了哈。非常高兴就是大家今天中午可以在这里就是跟大家主持一节就是有关 RISM 的一个讲座啊，我们主讲人就是 Mr. Keil 啊，德国籍的啊。那当然就是我跟大家就是先用我们本地的话先讲一些就是整个安排之后，我再用英文再讲一次啊。我们希望主持人知道我们整个过程是怎么样子哈。那这个今天的下午呢，Mr. Keil 他的讲题呢，主要就是介绍这个 RISM 的东西哈。他的题目就叫 Projects, Applications, Data Use and Collaboration 啊，就是有关他的整个计划啊，有关他的出版物啊，他们怎么用他的一个资料，跟一个就是合作方面的一些课题啊，主要就是介绍这个 RISM 在这个方面的一些东西啊。我是这个环节的主持人，我是郑轩，我是香港中央图书馆的啊。好，那今天是下午就是1个小时了哈。那我开始之后呢，就是将时间就是交给我们主讲人 Mr. Keil 哈。那之后他大概就是会讲就是30分钟，30到35分钟左右了。那剩下的就是有大概20分钟时间左右吧，啊，那就是大家的发问时间啊，一个答问时间啊。那大家就如果有什么问题想知道的、想问的，那大家就可以举手就是问问题哈。如果大家可以用英文来问的，就用英文问啊。如果是讲普通话的话呢，我来翻译啊，那没关系哈啊，那不要讲其他语文啊。Also, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So this afternoon we'll have a session of subject talk about RISM. Yeah. So the title we're going to talk this afternoon is the project, applications, data use, and collaborations. Okay. So we are very happy that today we have Mr. Keil from Germany to chair this session of subject talk. Okay. So a brief introduction of Mr. Keil. Has born in Germany. So he received his educations in theology and musicology. And it has been more than 20 years he has been serving as the director in the central office of RISM in Frankfurt. Okay. So today the arrangement of the session today is that we'll have 1 hour for the first session. Okay. After the introduction, I will pass the stage to Mr. Keil, and then about half an hour of 5 minutes talk. Okay, I will reserve about 20 minutes for you to have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions or anything you wish to ask, so please raise your hand and give out your question. Okay, you can speak that in English. Okay, so if you speak that in Chinese, I'll get a translation to Mr. Keil. Okay, so the arrangement for this afternoon will be like this. Okay, so now we'll give time to pass the stage to Mr. Keil. So thank you, Mr. Keil.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Yeah. Thank you very much for the kind invitation to this conference. I'm very happy to have the possibility to introduce our project to you. RISM project publications, data use, collaboration. I will speak today about charge of the organization, overview of the RISM project, the publications, the RISM online catalog, the use of RISM data, and how to collaborate, and later on a little bit more about the RISM website. Let me start with a short remark. I have two presents for you. One is this nice booklet. There's mainly everything what I have to say is not everything, but the essentials. And the other one is this nice pencil. This is that you never forget our website address. So, let's start with charge of the organization. RISM, This abbreviation means International Inventory of Musical Sources, and it is taken from the French abbreviation because RISM is founded in 1953 in France. The first seat of RISM was in Paris, and the French name is Répertoire International des Sources Musicales, and therefore it is the name RISM. So RISM aims for comprehensive documentation of extant musical sources worldwide. These documented primary sources are manuscripts, like you can see here. This is a manuscript of Johann Sebastian Bach, but not his own work, but an organ work of a French composer, Keil, his name. Or another manuscript is here. Oh, it's a little bit small, but it's handwriting by Beethoven. This is an autograph. Or the other possibility is printis. The other project is printed music. This is a print by Couperin, by Rameau, and the other one is by Keil. Keil is not just a composer, he's also had a printed company and he sells pianos and so on, and this is a print from his company. And then writings on music theory and libretti. These are two examples for libretti, one with musics and the other one is from a performance of the Metropolitan Opera in New York. I think 1822. The sources are housed in libraries, archives, monasteries, schools, and private collections. These are some examples of big libraries and so on. Then our condition is holders have to be willing to allow access for scholars' research or practical use. This means for musicians. So if someone, it's normally a problem of the private collection. If some private collector don't want to give access, we don't want to have it in RISM. RISM is a global organization with solid goals. We have in about 40 countries around the world with one or more national RISM working groups. So in some countries we have 5, 6 RISM working groups, but in the most we have just one, and that's the best solution. In total, about 100 contributors describe the musical sources housed in their countries. They transmit the results to the RISM Central Redaktion or Central Editorial Office in Frankfurt, which then edits and publishes the entries. Then a short overview of our project. Music, manuscripts and prints, this is the series A. Description of repertoires by thematic aspects, this is our series B. Then RISM libraries and archives and RISM Sigla, series C. And then libretti, this is just some working groups. In some countries they publish libretti, there's not a roof for all the libretti at the moment. Our main project is music manuscript after 1600, what is previously named the series A2. This project is ongoing since circa 1980. We take polyphonic works, written after 1600 and before circa 1850, that's the focus. We have a lot of material which is younger than 1850, but that's the focus of the project. And this series is published only as online resource. We have no books from series A2. There were never any books of series A2. A2 is only an online resource. Next project is printed music. We have two series for printed music sources. One is single issues. It means just one composition in one print, in a print. The other one is collections, which means more than one work in a print, in an edition. It is ongoing since circa 1960. It's elder than A2. The editions are published between 1500 and 1800, and nowadays we have also younger. But the problem is, in the 19th century, there were so many new editions that it will be a very huge project to do that in the future. But at the moment, we are concentrated on this time limit. This is formally published as books. We have 9-volume main prints in series A1 and 4 supplement prints, books. And then 4 years ago, or no, 10 years ago just, we have published all this as CD-ROM, which is, but now also not longer available, because we have, since July this year, we have included it in our online catalog. So, further project is series B, 3 to 15. It's different subjects like manuscript of polyphonic music in 14th to 16th century, music theories, antiphons, hymns, and others. And this year we have just published a new book, the first ethno-musicological book. It's by Tilman Sebas. It's a palm leaf manuscript from Polynesia. It's new. I have it just last week. I had it on my desk, so it's completely new. And the last series is the series C, Director of Music Research Libraries, or RISM Sigler, which is in 5 volumes, but it's now also an online resource, so the books are more or less outdated. So this is some of our 52 books. If you see in the library the blue volume, then it's normally RISM. So again, I have just said it. A1 is published 9 volumes and 4 supplements and 1 index. Series B1 and B2, it's printed collections, 2 volumes, then 31 volumes and 5 volumes in Series C. Then if you see something like this, microfiches or CD-ROMs from RISM, it all is outdated. All is now in our online, but in some libraries they have our old CD-ROMs. We have published in the 18th 2 microfiches as first publications, and then from 85 I think, or 89, I don't know. We published every year a CD-ROM of the series A2, and but now everything is in our online catalog. The online catalog, you can have it with the address rism.rism.info or via our website, this one. And it has now 1,028,000 records. It is for free, so, and yeah, that's important. So, and it contains about 910,000 or 16,000 manuscript records and about 112,000 printed records of printed editions. Again, the addresses, and so I can change to our OPAC. Here it is. So this is our website. I later come again to it. You have two possibilities to enter our OPAC. This is a simple search. You just put in any term and go, or the advanced search. You can go. I prefer to go directly to the advanced search. So, and here you have the possibility to search for title, composer, genre, music incipits, other names than composers, catalog of work number, key, provenance, and so on. And the last is RISM ID, year, shelf mark, language, and A1 and B1 number. This is if you have the number taken from the book and you won't find the print again, you can include here the book number, plate number, and so on. Of course, you can ask for a composer. That's a normal search. About 90% of our searches go via composer. We have made a survey in the last year, and that's the result. About 90% search for composer names, so whoever you want. Oh, yeah. So I have a not very famous one, Neruda. So you can go and search. Not here. If you enter the name, there should be, it worked. Oh no, from place, composer. There should be an index. Okay. So here you have the results, the list of results. We have 132 results, and they are the first, on the left side there are the filters. The first filter is for genre, the second one is for composer, and you can see there are two different composers, Johann Baptist Neruda and Franz Neruda. And if you click on this, you get just all records of Johann Baptist Neruda. So we go in one of these pieces, perhaps a concerto like this. So that's our record. It's a concert in C major for violin. The solo instrument is a violin, strings and strings. The genre is concertos. The title on the source, Concerto for Dal Signore Neruda. The material, there are 4 parts, no score, 4 parts, solo violin and violin 1, 2, viola and bass. It's a manuscript. It's dated between 1750 and 1799, as the second half of the 18th century. This is the music incipits of the first violin. There are 3 movements, allegro moderato, adagio, allegro. Then again the scoring, a solo instrument, 2 violins, viola and so on. It's part of the collection with different concerts. And for the literature we give a Bruch number. Bruch is a thematic catalog, a catalog of thematic catalogs, and where you can find it. It is in a library in Sweden, in Stockholm, Königliche Bibliothek, and this is the call number. And this on the right side is the RISM number. If you click on the name of the Neruda, you get a new window. In the window you can find a lot of information about the composer, and we give we search every composer in the main music dictionaries. The reason for that is we must standardize the name of the composer, and in different composer of the 18th century is written always in different ways. You cannot say this is the right spelling or not. So we search the name and the live dates. In this case MGG, Musik in Geschichte in Gegen und Gegenwart. Then in RISM A1, then in Riemann lexicon, music lexicon. Then Roof. This is a Czech dictionary. RISM A1, there are also entries, and Riemann lexicon and the old program. And this number is very important. This number is for name authority file of the German National Library. And the name authority file is connected to the international name authority file in the German National Library. So we come through this number to the international name authority file. And that's for the future something which is very important, because then we can link to other resources, dictionaries and so on. Later on I think I show you another other possibilities. So you can of course search for other names which are not in the composer. My example here, other names. I must clear this one. If I don't do that, then I will have problems later on. Other names. I take the name Napoleon. Wrong field. Sorry. Typing and speaking is always difficult. So, search for Napoleon. I hope it's right. No, it's not what I want to have. Yeah, then on one. So, other names. That should be normally it should come automatically here in the index. I don't know why it's not working at the moment, but I hope it will work like that. So, what we have here is Napoleon's Krönungsmarsch. It's when he was crowned as Kaiser, and but I want to go to this record. So, if you go in, you have the title Napoleon Bonaparte's Lieblingswalzer. So that's to show we have a lot of fields in our scheme, our cataloging scheme, and one is dedicacies. Napoleon or other people are very often dedicacies for manuscripts, and so it's very important to have the names here. But what I want to show you here is this possibility to link data. So this is made by the name of the norm authority file. The picture is not a part of our database. It's a Google picture. And though I can show you here, and later on we will do more in this direction, this is taken by the GND number, by the number in the norm authority file of names. And this is something what's very common now in libraries, to link informations together. And this is a possibility we have here, and we will have lots of more benefits in the future from this. So, what we also have in this, no. What we also have here is the name of the composer, and that's also interesting, because we have no picture, because of course in Google Picture there's nothing of this, but we have a proof of his handwriting here. This is the composer name is also an authority file, and we include in the authority file proofs of the handwriting. That's very important for us to compare handwritings and to find the writer of a piece. So if we click here, we come to another resource. It's a portal of the German National Library, or that's the wrong one. That's by the TND, but I want to click on the Schriftprobe, on the. So now we come, no, it's not correct. Oh, yeah, it is. Now we come to the Berlin State Library, the online resources of the Berlin State Library. And here you can find the handwriting of Lauska. It needs a bit of time, or perhaps sometimes the first page is empty. So let's go to the next one. It's a picture on the manuscript. So you can go through the whole manuscript here, because the German Berlin State Library digitized the whole manuscript here. And so this is the handwriting of Lauska. Very clear, nice. And this we have not just for names, but if you can see here on the first position, we have digitized music on the left side, first position. If I click here, I get a manuscript from Morlacchi, Francesco Morlacchi. He is also here. Napoleon is a dedicacy, and in this case you can read the manuscript directly. Perhaps again. No, it's another library. It's a digital resource of the Dresden Library. Sächsische Landes- und Universitätsbibliothek, it's the name. So I can go here, and I can look through the whole manuscript here. It needs some time. It's a very high resolution here. So this is the possibility to see the manuscript directly from the catalog. This is not our resource. No? Again, this is if we don't include in our database we include sometimes pictures, but not whole manuscripts. And this is also a problem of copyright. If we did but this is the original resource of the library, and we just linked to it. So that's just an impression. In the next, if you want to see more, we can do it in the next session. I come back to my presentation. Should be, no, there it is. So, one of the very important part of our work is to make, to know where manuscripts or where sources at all are, in which library, in which private collection. And we invented so-called RISM library Ziegler. It's a George Ziegler. It's very common now in the musicology, and we give a sort over our website. We give a possibilities to search for RISM library Ziegler or RISM libraries. So this is the search mask. I later on show you how, or I can directly show where it is in our website. I'll go back to the website. Home. So if you go on the right side, right margin, here you can find RISM library Ziegler. And here, if you click here, you get this. So here you can enter a country or a city name or whatever, and you get the institutions which have library Ziegler here. So this is what I did here for you. So I entered ROK, Republic of Korea, and I get 110 RISM Ziegler for Korea. So thank you very much for sending us all this information about Korean libraries. 110 libraries, very much. If you see a star on the right, it means there we have sources in our catalog at this place. So if you click on one of these Ziegler, you get this information. The Academy of Korean Studies, it's the name of the library, the city, the country, the address, and so on. And you have two, in this case, you have at the end two buttons, one for link and one for sources. If you click on link, you get you come directly to the website of the library. If you click to source, what I do now, you come to the sources of this library in our catalog. So you can go through and can search for the content of the library. This is what we have here. So the first step, perhaps, if you organize a RISM working group, is to search in your country where is a library who can who owns music sources, and we will make RISM Ziegler about them. Who uses RISM? Musicologists who are looking for source materials in their field of research and use RISM data as a foundation for thematic catalogs or music editions. Musicians who discover a breadth of lesser known works in order to give concerts that go beyond the usual repertoire. Librarians who want to know if additional copies of a certain manuscript exist at other institutions. Students who need to consult primary sources for an assignment or term paper. And so music antiquarians who find out through RISM how many music prints exist that they are offering are extant. And I can add, we have some people, genealogic interested people who have a composer in their family, and they sometimes also ask for the sources. The use of the data. First of all RISM data are open data, so you can download all these data. They are also linked open data. That's a special format, data format, so that the linking can go automatically. We offer a SRU interface, so you can, this is a special interface to select data you want to download. Our data are in Mark 21 and Mark XML format, so it's a common library format, American format. And we also have a GND beacon. It's a beacon to come directly to composer names by a number. So this is also used by some dictionaries in Germany. This is a Callisto program, the input, the database, open data, linked open data, SRU interface, and is a beacon. And we also provide camera-ready copies for catalogs. It means it's a main part with a description of the manuscript and a register. So if you have data in our database, you can print out directly the content of the as a book. What you can do, you can include RISM data in your local online catalog. You can embed RISM items in your website by this. If I do that, then I come directly to this, have directly a catalog of this RISM. In this case, it's a Russian library. You can receive camera-ready copy, as I've just told. You can also make a link to all data in your catalog. If you have just in your library or your institution a catalog, you can link to your local catalog in our data. And RISM data can be used as metadata for digitalization projects. How to collaborate with RISM? RISM provides Callisto, the cataloging program for the documentation of manuscript and print. And I have to add, we are developing a new project called called Muscat, and this will be available in the first half of the next year. It has some advantages. One of this is an open source program. The other one is a browser-based program, so you don't need any more a Windows computer. You can use every computer who support a browser, and that's nearly every computer, every PC. Then we have guidelines and free introduction courses. Someone of my staff comes to your library or to your working group to introduce you, or we also make introductions via Skype, or what's the best way. If you have a catalog with mark data, just in our own catalog, we can transfer this data in our database. But we need for that normally mark data, and other formats is sometimes difficult. So, and then we links to your local catalog can be included in our RISM catalog. So it's vice versa. You can link to our data, we can link to your data. Our website, this is, perhaps I can demonstrate directly. So, the home, we have news nearly every week, as you may know. But there's also, sometimes there are no discoveries like this one. There's someone found an anonymous copy of a work of Vivaldi, and he found it in the Dresden library, and then it's something. Vivaldi is always an interesting composer, so we made a news of it. Was a conference in Germany of the German YAML group, and so on. Offenbach, something about Offenbach. On the right side, you can learn more about international projects. Interesting is here, here's a list of our working groups. So if you have a question to a manuscript in Sweden or in Italy, there are the address of the working groups. I can go in this here, the Austrian working group with several. We have also a Belarus working group, Belgian working group, Brazil, and so on. So, and there's the place for the China working group. So, back news, then partners, institutions, and so on. You can see that. Then international. Here we have a card, a map of our working groups. Only the C in this case. That. Something is wrong here. No. The working groups at the moment. Most of them are in Germany, in Europe, of course. We are mainly an European project, but open to everything. Then you can learn more about the organization. So we have a board and a so-called commission mixed. That's interesting because our project is supported by YAML and IMS, by the library organization and by the International Musicology Association. And they built a commission mixed, 5 persons from the one organization, 5 persons from the other one, and that's a guiding organization for our project. Then on the operation level, we have the Zentralredaktion and the different working groups. Some working groups have own associations. Some working groups are part of a national library. In the Eastern countries, normally it is like that. Some are in academic or science institutions and so. That's the same thing. Community, this is publication is what I have just told about. Community is something to exchange information, and here we have a tool, Callisto manuscripts and tools. This I will tell you later on about. This is how to use Callisto, our guidelines, and so on. You can also make an own website over this main website, our international website. If you, no, I must go to this point, for example, Europe, Germany. The German working group has made their own website over our international website. They can get an own address for it, as you can see, d.rism.info, d.rism.info. This is an own address for the German working group, so we can, for every working group, we can make such an address. And this are information they input, not we. And what's interesting here is they have a description of what they do, ongoing projects here. So, and then they have Bamberg archive of the DOCs and so on. All their projects and what they have done, and if it is just concluded or not concluded, and so a lot of information in this part. So I come back to the RISM website, and that's all. Thank you for your attention.
So this is a very interesting and informative session, right? 这个就是资料太多，时间太短，是吧？So I think there should be many questions from you. Okay, so if you find this very interesting and explorative, okay. So now is the Q&A session. So any members of you from the floor who wish to raise any questions to Mr. Keil? 有没有人想问一个问题？
I saw on one of the pages that you have a keyboard underneath.
Yeah.
So is that for searching?
Yeah.
Playing on
Yeah.
the
You
keyboard?
can input the names of the.
It's
Yeah.
a
I can.
Make a demo.
No. Yes, you can input the names of the pitches via the keyboard.
Oh.
And,
But only the pitches, not the.
Yes, only the pitches.
Tiny pitches.
Just the pitches, not the B-mix or whatever. Or that doesn't.
So any other questions from you, Professor?
Keil, this is a very good project. And where's the funding from?
Yes, this is it's different. In Germany, the German Working Group and the International Zentralredaktion, editorial office, it is funded by the Union of the German Academies. We have many academies in Germany, not just one. Every land, every part country has an own academy. And they have own projects, but they have also projects together. So, and we belong to the Together project, the joint project of them. We have a budget, it is published, so I can tell it. We have about 440,000 euros, and the German working about 350,000 euros every year. So that's, and in our office we have 8 collaborators. Most of them full-time. This allows us to give our data free of charge. The other project, the RISM project, must sell because they have no funds from the American state. They must sell their data, so we can give our data free of charge thanks to the support of the German government. And every working group has to find their financement in their own country.
So the purpose of your center is to check the result from so many groups. They send the results to your center, and your task is to check. Okay.
Yes.
Your main task.
The main point is to check the main fields. We have to check the main fields. We cannot check everything. We have every year we have 30 to 40,000 new records. We cannot check with 8 people. You cannot check every comma, every dot. So, but the main fields, titles and so on, general and composer, and an important part is also to support with electronic resources like our program. We have to develop the online catalogs, the search programs, and so on.
Does the RISM system support compatible with the East Asian character? Is that the compatible with Unicode.
Yes, our program is based on Unicode. So every Unicode sign you can also put in,
Okay.
or you can see it. Also, what I have showed if you have seen the catalog example, you have the Korean letters.
And you also give the information that your database can be transferred into the local OPAC, library OPAC.
Yeah, yeah.
That means it's can be transferred to all kinds of mark. For example, we have maybe Taiwan. Do you have your
Yeah.
mark? Chinese mark. We have mark 21
Not
for USA, right? And we have CN mark for mainland China. Maybe we have special mark for Korea. Do you have special mark?
Okay,
If you download our data, they are in mark XML. So, and then it's up to you.
Actually, they're using the format of mark XML and the US mark. Okay, so mark 21 is a standard universal mark. Okay, but for some tag data introduced in Chinese mark, that is something not compatible. I have to say, the US mark and the Chinese mark, there is something incompatible.
Yeah,
Not full all the tag fields can be all transferable into one bit record. Okay, so I have to say is that. So if you transfer the mark record from the RISM to your own OPAC, okay, you have to say pick up something, or you have to edit something or revise something to suit your Chinese mark or the standard you are using. Yeah, not fully compatible. That is
But this is not my concern. We have also mark 21 in our library, so this is no
that
problem.
should be fine. That should be fine. Yeah. So from the floor, any other questions to raise?
I would like to add one more. I don't know if it is. Maybe you can tell me. Would somebody be using the information like the sheets, music and so on with the signature or with the handwriting or the score for authenticating purposes?
Yeah.
They do that, right?
Yes, that's the reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our music incipits, there are two things for the identification. The music incipits, the main scope of the music incipits is to find anonymous copies, in other libraries. And the handwriting I show is to identify scripts. So this is very important if you make an addition. So you have different.
I meant authenticate.
Yeah.
Authenticate.
So any questions? So leave me one question. So I got many questions. Okay, so I would like to follow up on questions from Mr. Wu. Okay, so now you have the sources of music description from various nations, right? Not all Latin languages. Okay, so even in Europe, there are some different languages, Spanish languages, Scandinavian languages, German, Chinese, English. Okay, so some in Eastern Asia. Okay, so even you use the Unicode and you have a whole system to be dispatched to all other nations for searching. Also, the problem is the searching. So, how do the readers or the users search for the entire database with only one language media or any language media from their own reader. Say if they only input English, can they search the materials in other non-English writing nations? So if they can only search for English writing scripts or resources, they cannot find something in the Scandinavia or cannot find something in the Hispania. Okay. So are there any rules or regulations that you would ask the contributors to give you also the standard language media like English? You must give me bilingual versions such that we can facilitate all the searching. So if you only have some resources but it's not searchable, I think that is a big problem for other users. Okay. So are you any standards or for the searching or for the records you required?
You mean the first point is
Say, so I think I simplify my question. So, so if you have a contributor from Spain, okay,
Yeah.
so if they only give you a record in Spain languages,
Yeah.
okay, so you put it into the system. So if I wish to search something, but I only know English but I don't know Spain,
Yeah.
is that I cannot find the resources in that region or that? Or how can we solve such a problems if such exists?
Yeah, the main language is German or English. So, and the terms in the description are very standardized. So a score or part of them, and we always use standardized terms. So that you, I'm hopeful that you can search in also by these terms. But at the moment in our online catalog we have only these two languages, German and English, but we want to include in the next release, we want to include other languages too. But this is just for the search fields. So the content of the data is mainly in English. And in the of course in the we have two different fields. There are original fields and there are standardized fields. In the original fields, of course, it's in the language, the manuscript of the source is. In the standardized fields, it's mainly in English.
Do you have this kind of problem as Professor Zheng have mentioned?
Yeah.
Do you have these problems with some users or searchers? We do not know English, but maybe it's a very tiny.
Yeah. So at least I don't know German. I don't know German, and therefore, if that title or that record is written in German, I can find nothing. For this, as I don't know German. So I think this may be some problem with the solutions. Yeah.
We have not solved at the moment.
Yeah.
So
yeah, such a problem also exists in other nations, I think. Yeah. So at least we can read Korean languages. Korean language cannot read Chinese language art. So this is a new version. So this is a very, very amazing platform. So any other questions? Time's up. 就是时间非常短，就是5点钟。So I think it's now a time for a tutor. So now maybe we give a big applause to the next session will be chaired by Nora. It's a workshop on Callisto. Okay, see you later. Thank you.